Hello everyone. Alright, how are y'all doing? Doing okay. A little bit tired, but what else is new? I'm gonna be working on this drawing a little bit. Nothing too fancy. Probably just gonna be doing a lot of like shading and kind of just filling stuff in. So I've got a piece of paper with this is actually like a sticky note, so it stays in one place while I'm scribbling on it. I'm gonna put a bunch of graphite on here, and then I use this as kind of like a palette. I don't really know how to describe it. I'll stick my finger in there, get some graphite on it, and then I can kind of do some light, like shadows and stuff like that. I like doing it this way because the end result ends up being like really nice and soft. So you're kind of like laying on a lot of layers of soft graphite, and it just creates a cool effect. But I just enjoy drawing this way. It may not be the easiest way to draw. A lot of people like to use like blending stumps or anything like that. And I don't really like blending stumps. They work great if you're into that kind of thing. But honestly, like my main problem with them is kind of a fickle one. It's like I don't like the feeling of the blending sticks on my hands. Like they're made of like rolled up paper, so it's like kind of scratchy and it dries my hands out. So that is a totally superficial reason why I don't use those, but it's a good enough reason for me. Plus, it's kind of just like a different feel, and I think that using my finger makes the art a little bit more, I don't know, maybe a little bit more personal. Maybe that's kind of just my silly artist talk, but hey, whatever you like to do when it comes to art, do it that way, because you're going to have more fun doing it, and you're going to make better stuff if you're having more fun making it. Super important, I think. So, yeah, I'm trying to stay on schedule with these videos. It's been a little bit difficult with the holidays, and happy holidays to everyone, even if you don't celebrate any holidays. Well, I wish you a good time anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's been busy, the nature of my work, I mean my actual job, is that I end up working more around the holidays. So yeah, so I've been busy trying to get videos out whenever I can. Like I have to go to work in like 20 minutes, but I thought that it would be nice to get a little bit of recording time in, and I'll be at peace of mind with that. And then overnight, I'll be able to process the video and all of that stuff, and hopefully be able to get it to you guys very soon. I'm kind of talking in the past here because by the time you see this video, it's all that's going to be done, and so yeah, so I'm hoping to get it up soon, and if you're watching, it's already up, so I don't know why I'm still talking about it, to be honest. Yeah, so I'm just gonna keep saying yeah for like the next 12 minutes, if that's cool for you. That's cool with you. I just did it again. That's like my bad habit. I've rewatched. There it is again. I've rewatched my old videos to see kind of like how I record what I say and where I can improve, and that's definitely one of them. I say and a lot because I don't really script anything. I kind of just kick it from my head. So there's a lot of like stalling and trying to figure out what I'm gonna say next. And maybe I don't know. Is it better to say or is it better to just like be quiet and have dead air for a few seconds? I don't know. I don't know. I'm still learning, guys. I'm still learning. But yeah, so shading for me when you're doing a more realistic rendered piece. Not that this is realistic. I guess that'd be the wrong way to put it. But when you're doing a more rendered piece with graphite, layering is a really important thing to think about. Because I see a lot of people drawing. I think a lot of young artists do this, or maybe not young, the right word, but a lot of like artists that are early in their journey, I think, try to just lay on all the detail all at once. And I've talked about this a little bit, where you lay on all the detail. Like if I were to just start detailing the hair, really detailed, and like drawing all the strands and just moving like in the little area by little area, then it's gonna look kind of odd. It's gonna look a little bit disjointed, a little bit out of place. So like especially with hair, I like to map out all the big shapes first. Get the whole thing shaded because like the individual strand texture, like that's gonna want to be the last. You want that to be the last thing that you do. That's the finest detail, so it should be the last thing you do. But getting like the shading and the lighting right on it is going to make it a lot better experience in the long run. So that's what I do. I just like shade out the whole big shape, or big block, and then start adding detail from there. So it also helps me have an idea of where I'm going with the lighting and everything, because if you are doing a bunch of detail in different spots, it may look like the lighting is not unified, because if we're looking at where the lighting is coming from, and it's probably going to be kind of like from this direction based on like the shadows, and what I'm doing here may be kind of closer to like, straight down at an angle towards her face, like this way. A lot of teachers, when you start learning art, will kind of tell you to make like a 3D arrow, signifying where the lighting's coming from. If you're new to rendering and stuff like that, just think of like an arrow, like if it was like a cylinder with a cone on the top of it. And if you draw it out in 3 dimensions, just like that, you see the arrow is pointing down this way, and that's like my lighting. That's where it's coming from, right here. So if you're new to this, and because this is all in my head right now, because I've been doing this for a long time, but if you're new to it, drawing this arrow, especially, man, get some sticky notes and just like stick it right there. It's a little bit out of frame, so you can't particularly see it, but if you just stick it right there, then it'll remind you where the lighting's coming from. And if you ever have a question, if you're like, rendering this eyelash right here, and you're like, oh, where should I put the shadow and the highlight and all that, then bam, you got that arrow right there. So, just out of curiosity, if we're going to put the lighting on this arrow based where it's coming from, both of these planes right here, and right here, those are going to be where the light hits the most. So those are going to be totally, other than the cast shadows, those are going to be totally white, pretty much. That's where the major highlight is hitting. But then if you're saying, oh, it's coming at a slight angle here, then there would be a little bit of cast shadow from this cylinder. There would be shadow here. Since it's a cylinder, the lighting is going to be coming around the side a little bit. And same thing down here. I'll talk more about rendering in another video, but this is a good place to start. If you're having trouble figuring out lighting, where it's coming from, and where you should place your highlights and shadows respectively, do the 3D arrow thing. That helped me a lot while I was learning. That's what my teachers in art school taught me to do. Actually, I believe that was like in junior high. I think I learned how to do that very, very early on. With my art, I learned to do that, and it's something I've been doing for so many years. So it's like I kind of do it naturally in my head now. But for the sake of practice, and in getting used to it, you should definitely be, mapping that stuff out, so you don't have to have all that stuff weighing on your brain the whole time you're drawing. I don't know. I mean, that's just the way I do it. I always say that, this is the way I do things, and these are my tips for drawing. But, try. It's not going to hurt to try what I tell you to do or what I recommend. And then, if you like it, then use it. If you don't like it, think about why you don't like it, and try to find a solution that does work for you. That's the whole part of that's part of the whole journey of becoming your own artist. There's nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with copying other artists and gaining inspiration from other artists, but really your end goal should be to develop your own style, because I think originality is an artist's most effective tool. Even if your style may not be on par with some other artists you look up to, and maybe you're basing the quality of your work off of someone else's work, like, keep in mind that they're in a different place in their art journey than you are. And there's nothing wrong with looking at, a great artist's work and saying, well, I'm not on that level. But the proof is in the pudding. Like, that artist is on that level. And it took them a long time to get there, at least a lot of hard work. And it should be proof that if someone else can do it, heck, you can do it too. So, keep your head up. Keep trying. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. I make mistakes every day when it comes to drawing. But learning from them and developing and improving and not getting discouraged, that's the best thing you can do for yourself. At least I think so. And I'm noticing a glaring issue here. And if you noticed it before I did, because I just noticed it right this second, let me know, because it's really interesting to me. I didn't draw her other ear, and it could be argued that like the ear is kind of sitting on the other side of her head right behind this space, and that's fine. But I think that rather than hiding something, it's better to at least hint at its existence. Because if you're drawing a figure, and even if the figure is placed in such a way that, like, let's say like the figure's arm would be behind its body so you couldn't see it. Hinting that that arm is there is a good idea, because, at least one person is going to look at it and be like, where's their other arm? And if you even just leave like a fingertip or an elbow peeking out from the other side of the body, like I just did the tip of the ear here, then there's no question. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But I digress. I always get off topic whenever I do videos. I kind of just let my mouth go where it wants to. Ooh, that sounds dirty. But I just try to let it go wherever. If I find something to talk about in the moment and it's totally off topic for the theme I established or whatever, then bear with me. I'm only human, and I get distracted very, very easily. So forgive me. Maybe I should just not strike a theme for these recordings and just go with it, Just say, well, I'm drawing. But I like talking about specific stuff too. And I think this is going really well. I'm liking this drawing so far. And I've got a lot of like my big shapes all laid out, which is good, which is where I want it. And I think, I'm getting antsy to get into some of the details, so I think I'm going to start doing that. And using, a couple different size pencils is never a bad idea. I got a bunch here. As you can see, they're all different sizes. I think these two might be the same size. No, that's a 1.3, and I think this is a 2 millimeter, I believe, and this is a 1.3. So you can see the difference at a glance. Pardon the focus going in and out, but yeah, you can see that. So if you want to think of it in a super simple way, start with the big pencils and move down to there we go. Start with the big pencils, move down to the little ones. Alright, so I've used this one, I've used this one, and I'm going to start using this one a little bit. And just like I was doing here, start to fill in some more detailed shadows and shapes. And also, when working with pencil, on the topic of layering, it's always a good idea to start with lighter pencils and move up to darker ones. So if you don't know, there's the tone of a pencil is rated based on the number, and the number is usually something like 2B or 4H or 6B or HB, and those all mean different things. So the way I remember it is H is hard, B is soft. B is soft because it's soft like a butt, right? B looks like a butt. Let me demonstrate. This is my mnemonic device, also proving how much of a child I am. B, it looks like a butt, right? 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 And butts are soft, usually. So B is soft, H is hard. That's easy to remember. But butts are funny, so that's easy for me to remember. So, for example here, this is 6B, right? Super soft. Now the thing about pencils is the softer a pencil it is, the darker it's going to be. Darker it's going to be, get it? Anyway, so the softer it is, the more graphite is going to be left on the paper. Because it's soft, it breaks apart easier, there's more graphite left on the paper. A harder pencil is going to leave less graphite on the paper. And you can see the very stark difference between that. So keep that in mind. Start with lighter pencils, because you'll get light details in, and go to harder pencils, because you get darker details in. It's always best to start, from light to dark, from less detailed to more detailed, and move in that fashion, because it's going to make more sense, and it's going to make your drawing seem more cohesive when it's done. And when you're spending a lot of time on a drawing, it's really important to make sure that it's cohesive, because if you put 12 hours into something, just for example, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, it's all over the place. Like, what happened to those 12 hours? Like, yeah, it's a learning experience, but if you plan it out a little bit, and have an idea of where you're going from the start, I think your experience will be better. My experience is better when I do that, because I hate wasting time. There's nothing that bothers me more than wasting time. So, well, there's a lot of things that bother me, but for the sake of emphasis, right at this moment, there's nothing that bothers me more than wasting time. So, let's not waste time. Let's go from let's get a plan going, follow the plan, and make an awesome drawing. That's going to be about it for me today. That's about time right now. Now, if I want your feedback, if you think the episode was too short, let me know. If you think it's a good length, doing this 15 minutes just about, then let me know that as well. Because, I sat down, I did this, I recorded some stuff, I drew on sticky notes a lot rather than the drawing. But we still got some stuff done, we still talked about some stuff. And the drawing is looking, a little bit more developed. So we're on our way. And I'll work on this one again. I'm going to keep working on it and talking about different stuff when I do. So I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know if you are enjoying it. Let me know if you're not enjoying it. Whatever. I hope you have a good one. Happy holidays and all that. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.